Multiple winter storms are on the way. So if you're a big fan of winter weather, you're really going to like this video. If you're not, well, we got to figure it out regardless. Winter storm number one is the weekend snowstorm moving into the picture already. Over a foot of snow is forecast across areas of the Midwest. We'll get heavy on the details on that first, and then we'll speak on a time frame for next week that has a winter storm risk also, and then we'll round the video off just discussing this crazy pattern as a whole and what it could bring as we start to get deeper into the month of December. I have reason to believe that we could continue to have these shots of very cold air, and of course, if it meets up with moisture, we're going to continue to have winter storm chances. So we'll do that at the very end of the video. My name is Mitch. Good Thursday evening. Hope you guys have had a wonderful Thanksgiving and happy Thanksgiving. I'm very thankful for everyone on this channel, and I really appreciate you guys giving me a platform to talk about what I love, which is the weather. Subscribe if you haven't, like the video if you like it, and if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please drop it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling tonight because we got a lot to go over. Let's start it off with winter storm number one. Like I said, this is already starting to move in now, but we're going to start this off with tomorrow morning. Now, this is an Eastern time, so it says 9 a.m. Eastern time. Back it up an hour because this is Central time. So we're going to look at the NAM here, just focusing on one model. We already got kind of this area of heavy precipitation, sort of a finger of heavy moisture moving across the Dakotas and starting to move into areas of Nebraska. Now, we continue to move forward here in time. We'll kind of go in 6 hour or so intervals. We go to about 2 or 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Okay, snow is starting to move into areas of Iowa at this point, areas of extreme southwest Minnesota, and we just kind of have this, it looks narrow, but it's not really narrow, but kind of this area of snow going through areas of the Dakotas, and this could be pretty heavy too, wherever it is snowing, but some areas will have a sharp cutoff, like Rapid City not getting anything, Pierre getting snow. So we continue to move this into tomorrow evening. This is like 8, 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Heavy snow begins to move into areas of Iowa. And I know you see this kind of green around the blue. Blue is snow, green is rain. But in this case, this green is not this is not rain. This is snow. So just ignore that. So as we continue to move forward, there's a little bit of a wintry battleground going on here in Omaha. Now, I do think this is rain down here, and you see the pink and purple. Don't focus in on the details. This could be a wintry mix of some sleet, maybe even some freezing rain. In fact, a little bit of ice is forecast down in this region. Now, let's not ignore completely Wyoming over here. Some snow could be flying around in Casper. A little bit of snow across the Rockies of Colorado. It's still snowing back in Bismarck, Pierre. But as we continue to move this forward, we go all the way. Let's just call this the middle of the night tomorrow night. This is like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. It's snowing in Minneapolis. How far north will this band of snow get? That's a big question. Still snowing back here in the Dakotas. We even have a back-end area of snow into western Nebraska. And there's that wintry mix, say, in Lincoln. It's snowing in Omaha on this run, but kind of a wintry mix of sleet, freezing rain, maybe snow in this area. And that is because a low pressure is moving in, bringing a lot of warm air aloft. Might be cold enough at the surface for winter weather, but aloft, a lot of those snowflakes are melting. So let's go on and shift this a little bit more this way, and let's get this back in motion. Okay, this is when it gets honestly fascinating to me. I've been talking to some people here in St. Louis on X, on social media, and St. Louis is just a wild area, okay? This is 6, 7 o'clock or so. I know, 6, 7 in the morning, Saturday morning. And listen, this right here could be very heavy, wet snow in St. Louis. I'm talking about snowflakes the size of like cotton balls. And I always joke, I said on X earlier, snowflakes the size of minivans, not literally. But this could be heavy, wet snow to kickstart your morning Saturday morning in St. Louis. It's just, is it going to stay snowing? I don't think it will. But let's continue to get this in motion. Chicago, it's snowing like crazy at daybreak. Saturday. You guys can tell I love talking about snow. I live here in central South Carolina. We hardly ever see snow, but I'm excited for you guys. I know not everybody likes snow though. But this is heavy wet snow in Des Moines, Dubuque getting snow, Davenport, Quincy, Chicago, Milwaukee, Oshkosh, and it's just starting to move into, say, Green Bay. And then we take it all the way to about midday Saturday, 11 o'clock in the morning, lunchtime, snowing for almost the entirety of Iowa, still snowing back in Omaha, Lincoln. I'm going to forget to mention a whole lot of areas. Minneapolis, you know, you're right on the northern fringe of the heaviest moisture, but definitely plenty cold enough to see snow. Green Bay, it's snowing. Madison, I mean, these darker corridors right here of colors, I mean, this is extremely heavy snow. But you see St. Louis down here, you see how it starts off as snow and then you go to rain? So you might start off and get a quick few to maybe even several inches of heavy wet snow, and then it goes to a cold rain. Very depressing, right? Cold air will follow though and kind of freeze up that snow that does fall if you're into that kind of stuff. But if we continue to keep this in motion, guys, and I know this is kind of slow moving, but I like to get over go over all the details in the timeline. This is getting into about 4 or 5 o'clock Saturday afternoon, and snow is basically overspreading the entirety of Michigan, UP, and Lower Michigan. And just let's back it up a little bit. Let's kind of discuss this timeline. Look at Indianapolis, okay, highly populated area. Starts off as heavy wet snow on the NAM model. I know this looks like green, but this will be starting off as like huge snowflakes. Same thing with Evansville. You know, kind of like St. Louis. Could start off as very heavy wet snow. Heck, even in areas you see down here in western Kentucky, could start off as extremely heavy wet snow, but then quickly go to rain. And then we go all the way out to, say, Saturday evening, and we just got a full, all-out, raging snowstorm across the Midwest and Great Lakes region. I mean, Chicago at this point, Saturday evening, you're right in the middle of just a classic snowstorm. You guys have kind of been ripped off lately as far as winter weather. And I say that on behalf of winter weather fans, and I know a lot of people up here are not winter weather fans. I am a huge winter weather fan, as you guys know. But Toledo, Detroit getting snow, and then we start to move into the middle of the night, and this is as far out as we got on the NAM. Saturday night into Sunday morning, this is midnight, and this entire snowstorm continues. Peoria, Springfield still snowing, Chicago still snowing, Detroit, all of Michigan, and look how heavy this snow is in Cleveland, Canton, Columbus even snowing. It's even snowing in areas of Cincinnati, down here in the northern areas of Kentucky. And this is as far out as we can go. And we're going to have to kind of start off where we leave off here. And we continue to keep this in motion. And we get into Sunday morning. And the last little bit of this storm begins to head east. Still snowing for most of Michigan. But as you can tell, Ohio starts to switch. You could start off as heavy wet snow, but then start to switch to just good old-fashioned rain before cold air filters in behind it. And I do want to show some love to the Northeast with this. It has trended a little bit colder. This is kind of Sunday midday, and it does show precipitation moving in, and this could be heavy wet snow across New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, northern PA, and kind of the favored cold air damming regions of PA, like the Allegheny Mountains, western Maryland, the highlands of West Virginia, and just the Blue Ridge Mountains and Appalachian Mountains of Virginia. This pink, this could be freezing rain. The orange, kind of a sleet, freezing rain mixture. And as we start to get into Sunday evening, a lot of these areas could just switch to good old rain here. And I-95 corridor, it's just not your turn yet, but stay tuned. I got a section of the video for you guys. Could be a little bit of a glimmer of hope for winter weather fans. But interior Northeast getting mainly snow, especially in those higher elevations. And then the cold air kind of filters in behind it. Might have a period of lake effect snow behind it. All right. So this part that everybody wants to hear about, and let's make our way west to east. So I know I don't have a lot of people tuning in from Montana, but I feel bad for just completely leaving out Montana. So this is Montana, how much snow you're expecting with this storm. Stop the screen if you need to. And then we start to move east. This is North Dakota, Bismarck, 2 to 5 inches of snow. Dickinson, 2 to 5, just trying to mention a couple areas. Fargo looks to be just too north to see the heaviest of the snow. We drop it down to South Dakota. Now, this is when things could begin to change a little bit as far as more heavy snow. And you guys are going to have to remind me, even though y'all literally can't because I'm not going live right now. I need to pull up the watches and warnings map just to show you guys who has winter storm watches, warnings, and winter weather advisories. But we have had an upgrade from a winter storm watch to a winter storm warning across areas of South Dakota over the last couple hours. But Pierre, 2 to 6 inches of snow. Sioux Falls, 4 to 6. Brookings, 4 to 6. Watertown, 2 to 4. Aberdeen, 3 to 5. And this is when it gets a little, tricky. Omaha, 3 to 8 inches of snow. Lincoln could get an inch, could get half a foot. Sioux City, 5 to 11. Some ice is possible in this area. A couple tenths of an inch of ice. York, they're going for a tenth to a quarter of an inch of freezing rain. So this is kind of that tricky area that could get a little bit of a wintry mix. And then we look at Minnesota, the southern half of the state. Minneapolis itself, You know, we could get 3 to 7 inches of snow. Right now, you got a winter weather advisory in Minneapolis, I believe. You could get an upgrade to a winter storm warning. You're just north of the heaviest stuff. So I would definitely just watch out for more frequent updates, okay? Southern areas of Minnesota, anywhere from a half a foot to a foot of snow. It just depends here. So continue to move forward here. And we look at Iowa. Iowa is going to be a big state for heavy, wet snow. A good chunk of Iowa will likely get a half a foot of snow. The only areas that might not is the southwestern sections of the state where the low pressure will get really close to. But Des Moines, 8 to 13 inches. Ames, 9 to 14. Fort Dodge, same thing. Waterloo, 9 to 13. Dubuque, 8 to 12. Could get a little freezing rain in this area. A couple tenths of an inch. I'm sorry, not a couple tenths. A few 1/100ths of an inch of ice, not a couple tenths. That'll be a lot of freezing rain as possible in the southwestern areas of the state. I will show some love to the Kansas City area, areas of northern Missouri. Kirksville, 4 to 8 inches of snow. Bethany, 2 to 6. Maryville, 1 to 5. At Kansas City, might get a wintry mix to kind of start the storm, but I'm not expecting any kind of heavy winter weather. And then we bump it up to Wisconsin. Green Bay, 6 to 8 inches of snow. On this area, you're plenty cold enough for snow. You're just too north of the heaviest snowfall. So could be anywhere from 4 to 8 inches of snow across this area. The further south you get, the more snow that is forecast. And then we get further south, Eau Claire, 3 to 6 inches of snow. Madison, 7 to 12. Platteville, 8 to 12 inches of snow. La Crosse, 6 to 10 inches of snow. So pause the screen if you need to at any point, guys. I try to show as many graphics as possible. And sometimes it stinks that these videos don't get out there very well in the algorithm, because I really feel like and this is not me, boosting myself up or anything like that, but I feel like I'm one of the most detailed weather YouTubers out here that nobody knows about. Because I don't think anybody wants to watch a weather video that lasts 30 minutes, and I get it. But this is the only way I know how to do it, and this is the way I love doing it, is just getting as detailed as possible. Milwaukee, 9 to 18 inches of snow is forecast. Janesville, 9 to 18. So anywhere from, almost a foot and a half of snow is forecast in these areas. We almost have the 20-inch mark in like Port Washington. Just crazy. And this is not lake effect stuff. This is just a good old-fashioned big snowstorm. And Quad Cities, 8 to 12. Freeport, 8 to 13 inches of snow. Princeton, 8 to 12. Peoria, 7 to 11. Chicago. Now, right now, let's see if we got an updated graphic. Come on, give me some more updates here. Yeah. So right now, and I don't blame Chicago for being conservative. Are you going to let me click it or not? I should have just kept the graphic up. I hope you can see that well. It's not letting me click it. But Chicago, 6 to 8 inches of snow. Rockford, 8 to 12 inches of snow. And, Chicago's site always acts weird for me. It's not an internet issue here. Their site always just acts odd. But hopefully you can see it pretty well here. Joliet, 6 to 8 inches of snow. Chicago, you could get much more snow than this. I think they're being conservative, and I don't blame them. But heading further south in Illinois, Lincoln, 6 to 12. Bloomington, 7 to 14. Peoria, 9 to 17 inches of snow. And if you noticed, some of these graphics are a little off, and it's just because of a timing thing. The further south we get, though, the more question marks we have. So just 4 to 8 in Litchfield, and then we head down to the St. Louis area. Right now, St. Louis, they're going for a quick 2 to 4 inches of heavy wet snow. But I'm telling you, this is going to catch people off guard down here Saturday morning. I'm going to go over some soundings around this area once we get into tomorrow's videos. But it is a just lock and loaded sounding for heavy, wet, paste snow once you get down to the Interstate 70 corridor. This could be some heavy stuff. So I would continue to tune in for updates around this area near St. Louis. Right now, 2 to 4, and here's some other areas on your screen. Now, heading back up here into Michigan, more snow's on the way for the UP. Now, some of this is combining lake effect snow ongoing right now, so you kind of have to factor that in. Somebody did mention, hey, you skipped Michigan in this morning's video. You're right. I didn't mean to. It's just hard because they're still combining some of that lake effect snow in this forecast. But, Kalamazoo, 11 to 16 inches of snow is forecast. Grand Rapids, 10 to 15. Flint, 4 to 10. Goodness, a lot of snow's on the way. Detroit, 4 to 9. I know my buddy here in Detroit's going to love this. I get you and the guy in UP of Michigan mixed up, Steven, and we got Steve. I can't remember. I think Steve is in Detroit. Looking like a good one for you, man. Enjoy this. I'm happy for you, buddy. Northern Indiana. Ooh, we got an all-out rager in this area. Tons of snow on the way. I mean, look at all these areas. I mean, half a foot to over a foot of snow forecast. Tricky area. Indianapolis. Could get an inch. Could get half a foot. If we're going off the NAM, you're going to get a half a foot of snow probably. You head on up the interstate, Lafayette 5 to 11, Marion 3 to 9 inches of snow. You get south of Indianapolis, even more of a question mark. Few inches of snow is possible to likely. Evansville's down here at the bottom of your screen. It's a tricky area. Could get nothing, could get an inch or two of snow. Louisville, showing like Kentucky, I would say just the western to northern areas of Kentucky could get just a dusting. Somebody could sneak and get an inch or two of snow. And then northern Ohio, this is a combination of lake effect and the storm moving in. And this only goes out to 7 a.m. Sunday, folks. So this isn't the entirety of the storm. But this is how much they're expecting in this area. And then this is between now and 7 a.m. Sunday. Could be a little bit more than this, but Cincinnati, about a half an inch of snow. Columbus, about an inch. Dayton, inch or two of snow. So now, speaking of the Northeast, it's tough. The Northeast tough because, you got the lake effect snows ongoing right now. So you're kind of combining what's on the way with this weekend storm and what's ongoing with the lake effect snow. So, everything's kind of matched together here. But as you can tell, what you take from this is an interior New England type deal. The I-95 corridor, not going to get much from this. But I do want to watch for a nasty wintry mix for the favorite areas of West Virginia, Western Maryland, Allegheny Mountains, PA, Virginia, heck, even all the way down into North Carolina. And sure enough, there is a little bit of an ice signal showing up on the Euro. A few 1/100ths of an inch of ice, maybe even 1/10 of an inch of ice. I think there'll be a nasty wintry mix here as we're getting into Sunday. So we'll get more details on that when we have them. Let's switch gears and talk about next week. So this is December 1st, next Monday. We got another system to figure out. Some energy starting to come together. And to kickstart our Monday morning, December 1st, we got some moderate to light snow flying around across Colorado, northern New Mexico, Kansas. And as we continue to move forward, a little bit of a connection of this moisture, a little bit of light snow flying around here in Oklahoma, eastern Kansas, into Missouri. And then the dots could connect here in northern Arkansas. Maybe some snow. Could be more so a wintry mix. Even a wintry mix is possible, dare I say, in like Memphis, maybe Little Rock. And then we continue to head on through. And yes, that is some heavier snow showing up in Tennessee. And I think it's very, very possible. Now, if we continue with the Euro and we look in the eastern U.S., here it comes. And this is when the system gets more juiced up. This is Tuesday morning. It's all rain across the southeast, but you see the nasty pink. That's freezing rain for the favored cold air damming regions of the North Carolina mountains and the foothills. But that is snow in Middle Tennessee, getting in Kentucky. Not just light snow, that's heavy snow too. We have to see how this is going to unfold. A little bit of kind of an area of light snow to the north, and then 997 low off the coast of the Mid-Atlantic. That will get the job done, but will the cold air be in place? The Carolinas looks mainly like rain, most of Virginia too, and the Delmarva Tidewater area. But northern VA, that's snow. West Virginia, that's snow. Areas of Ohio, eastern Kentucky, that's snow. And we continue to move forward. And that is snow in New York City, northern New Jersey, eastern PA, Maryland, even D.C., Boston. That is heavy wet snow. 992 low off the coast. And I mean, if this is correct, this would be Tuesday night and Wednesday morning of next week. That would be a snowstorm for Boston. We just got to figure out the details. Now, what about the GFS? This is running right now, and I think we have the entirety of the run. We'll take it all the way to Monday morning. I hadn't even looked at this one yet. So the GFS is a lot more aggressive with just a wintry mix in Arkansas and does not get the snow as far south in Oklahoma, but does have a band of moderate snow going through Kansas, getting into northern Missouri. This goes over Kansas City. Could, if this is the way it happens, Monday, drop some accumulating snow in areas of St. Louis. I'm sorry, well, St. Louis too, but I meant to say Kansas City. But this is a nasty wintry mix in central to northern Arkansas. We got to see if the GFS is on to something here, and then it progresses eastward. And here we go. Let's update this. And here comes the GFS. That's storm system number 1. We already broke that down. Here comes the second storm system. Juiced up low pressure. Low pressure's cutting right across the Alps, so this is all rain across the Mid-South. And this is just more north, and it's basically snow falling on more snow because of the system before this, prior to this. Look at that cold air damming signal showing up in the favored areas, the foothills, mountains of the Appalachian Mountains. And this is getting the Tuesday morning low pressure cutting right across the Carolinas. And this is a juiced up winter storm for Ohio, for PA, nasty wintry mix. And even has a wintry mix in New York City, but this is mainly rain because how close the low pressure is, and would be a big mixing issue in southern New England, but an interior northeast system, because we already got the cold air in place, this would be a huge snowstorm for you guys, and then we got to watch what happens after that. So what about the snow signal from this? This is the Euro Ensemble. This is in 3-day increments, so it shows the footprint of snow across areas of the Central Plains and the Missouri. 2 inches of snow possible out of this, maybe winter weather advisory criteria type stuff. And there is a little bit of an ice signal. This is for what happens this weekend. This is for what could happen as we move into early next week. And a few 100ths of an inch of ice, a little bit of a signal off the Blindoval model showing up in Arkansas, Missouri, and kind of in the mid-Mississippi Valley area. And then we look at the signal for the eastern U.S., that big blob of snow right here, that's what's going on right now. And then what you see pop up again in this area, this is the heavy signal we're seeing for the winter storm risk for next week. Couple inch snowfall average across the Ohio Valley, but a few inch snowfall average across the Northeast. I mean, even look at northern VA, the Mid-Atlantic. So, I mean, that is a heavy, I'm getting distracted because of our dog that's barking in the background. Do apologize for that. But this is a heavy signal for the Northeast for, I mean, you even have a 4 to 5 inch snowfall average across areas of New England. So, I mean, that is a pretty solid signal. And if we do look at the ice from this, there is a bit of a signal for this too. This is kind of the ice signal for the midweek storm potential as we're getting into next week. And then this is kind of a combination of the weekend storm and what could happen next week across the Mid-Atlantic. So we'll continue to figure this out. You know, our big focus is the system this weekend, and then we'll be able to really get like ridiculously detailed on this potential winter storm for next week. So let's talk about the pattern, guys. Listen, I have reason to believe that December is going to continue to deliver cold air and Arctic air dropping down to the lower 48, and just the potential for winter storms. So, you know, we start this off for next week. This is a lower pressure in the blue and green, and then you see, you know, the areas in a red and orange and pink. This is higher pressure, and I forgot to bring up my drawing tool, so I can't draw on this really. I might pull it up here on the fly here in a second. But this is a ridge signature spiking up into Alaska. We call this a negative EPO. So this continues to dislodge cold air down into an active storm track. So you see this little extension in blue right here. This is lower pressure. This is our storm system signal for next week. And this is our cold air source pumping into the moisture and that lower pressure, which is moisture. And we continue to move past this time frame. I want to watch next week, and I know we're getting pretty far out there. There's another signature showing up. Whether this is a cold and dry signature, I'm not sure, but this is all the way out to the 6th, 7th, 8th time frame. So next weekend. And you see the trough, and this is the Euro Ensemble too. One of the best things you can look at in the long range. That is a strong signal for a trough digging down into the eastern U.S. and a spiking ridge out west. So once again, this will bring cold air and the potential for another storm next weekend. And then we just continue. And listen, this gets out into no man's land. But what I continue to see is just troughing over areas of Canada and the northern sections of the U.S. So just think of this entire blue as a huge cold air source. It's like a detached area of the polar vortex. And any kind of storm systems down here to the south will have cold air to potentially tap into to bring you winter weather risk. And, you know, we go all the way out into the 10th and we get movement. But one thing that stays clear is this big blob of blue up here. So I just think that we will continue to have drops of cold air down into the lower 48. And basically what we're doing here is because of all this cold air up here, we are, and this blue doesn't necessarily mean cold air, but it's just troughing. It brings cold air. And what it looks like we're doing, guys, is we're really creating a glacier, if you, I guess you could say, for our cold air source area. So we're really freezing up where our cold air drops down from, our cold air source area, which is right here. So, you know, a lot of times when cold air drops down from the higher latitudes, it has an opportunity to modify and kind of warm, I guess you would say. Well, it might not do that. In fact, it could trend colder. So it just continues to just look like we got a pretty strong cold air source, is a simpler way to put it, to the north that could come down multiple times throughout the month of December. And this goes all the way out to about the 10th or 11th. And if we do look at the Euro ensemble as far as temperatures compared to average, so the blues and the greens, this is colder temperatures. Technically, it means colder than average temperature. So, you know, if your average temperature is 55 degrees and they're calling for 10 degrees below average, then it might be in the mid 40s. I hope that makes sense. So the warmer colors you see on your screen, this is above average temperature. So we're going to start this off for next Tuesday. And what you'll notice is just below average temperatures continue for the central and eastern U.S. You know, do you guys remember when we were talking about the potential for a torch to start December? Just go on and take that out your head because it's not happening anymore. We go about a week from today, still looks cold across the eastern U.S. The western U.S. looks pretty warm. And then are we going to warm up? Maybe. I don't know. But I'm not confident we will. We go all the way in the next weekend, another pool of cold air drops down into the eastern U.S. Okay? And I do think we're going to try to fight the ridge, but even after we get into the second week of December, like the 8th, 9th, 10th, another push of cold air drops down. And it just continues. And if you kind of take a larger look at this, our cold air keeps dropping down from the same area up here. Just one blast of cold air after another blast of cold air. So that kind of backs up what I was just showing you here. Now, what blows my mind, I'm going to pull this up on the fly. And it just hit me. I did not show you guys watches and warnings for the winter storm that's about to move in this weekend, but we'll just let that go. What blows my mind is the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. I think this is bogus. And I always get excited to look at this in the winter to see if it backs up what we're seeing in model guidance. This did not make me excited this afternoon, but I think it's bogus. It's the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, runs from the 5th through the 11th. I do not think we're going to have above average temperature chances, or I just don't think we're going to have above average temperatures for this area of the southeast. I do think we'll have below average temperatures for this area, absolutely, but I do think they should have dragged this blue down much further. So I'm not sure what made them do that. If anything, I would have kept near normal, dropping all the way way down in Alabama and Georgia and Mississippi. But, you know, we can get lost in the sauce with the details in this until the cows come home. But this is the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, the 3rd through the 7th. I guess this makes sense. But, I mean, I would have probably chopped this off a little bit more. Just a weird Climate Prediction Center outlook for today. I don't get it. So we're speaking on the MJO again. It's a long video. I'm just talking and talking and talking. I like the weather, guys. And speaking on the MJO, we mentioned, I don't have anything to draw on this, but the phase 4, 5, and 6, these are our warm phases, right? Phase 7 is what we're in right now, okay? This favors cold air coming into the U.S., but a lot of times it has to fight off a ridge for areas of the southeast, southern tier of the country, even eastern U.S. sometimes. But it favors a cold air dump, which is exactly what we're getting right now. Today's the 27th. We should be in phase 7 right now. Phase 8, 1 and 2 are cold phases. We're heading right towards phase 8, guys. And on the latest Euro, it has us racing there by next week and then getting fully into phase 8. And listen, phase 8 is a cold and winter weather pattern for December in the central and eastern U.S. and almost the entirety of the country. So we're getting there. We're getting to a very favorable phase. And guys, what I think is going on is the models are really struggling with this. I mean, really, really struggling with the progression of the MJO and what happens. And I think it's a mixture also between a lot of high latitude blocking with the stretch of the polar vortex and the sudden stratospheric warming and all that rigmarole that I quit talking about, a week ago. I just don't think that we're knowledgeable on that enough to really talk about it. And I guess I can speak for myself only, but just kind of reading everybody's thoughts on it. You can tell everybody is everywhere on the sudden stratospheric warming stuff, and nobody has a good handle on it. So that's why I've quit talking about it. But what we do know is that there's been a disruption on the top of the globe, which dislodges Arctic air south. You mix that with the fact that we're heading towards MJO Phase 8. And it just looks good, guys. It does. So, whew, that's all I got. Appreciate y'all. Hopefully this video gets out there because I put a lot of energy into this one. I was excited. Videos of just, and not overly worried about it, but man, I don't know if it's just my videos. I haven't really looked at any other YouTubers, but these videos are not really getting out there much. Maybe it's just because most of my audience is here in the South, and people in the South don't want to hear about snow in the North. Not sure what it is, but hopefully these videos start to get out there a little bit more, reach more people, because I'm having a whole lot of fun talking about it. So God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful night, and we'll do it again tomorrow morning.